Boom, shagalaka boom. You're tuned in to the Free Range Human Show Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live on 103.9 FM, WYAB, streaming worldwide, and audio on WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB, and you can listen to the entire platform here. All our hosts, local and national, every day from sun up to sundown and overnight. Did you know we're home? We are the home of the Atlanta Braves. Baseball, radio, play-by-play. That's right. Every night game is right here on WYAB. If you're a Braves fan, you know, it's gotten harder and harder to find that stuff on TV. I went to try to find a game the other night, and they said, well, Clay, you know, we have this package here you can buy for $20 a month, but you also got to watch the Nashville Predators or the Atlanta Hawks. Like, I don't want to watch basketball. I don't like basketball. I'm not the demographic that basketball appeals to anymore. I'm not of the hip-hop generation anymore. And I ain't from Canada. I like hockey in person. I don't want to watch hockey on TV. My point being, I don't want to pay to watch hockey on TV. Can I just get the Braves? The answer is yes, you can. Right here on WYAB, free of charge. So we are the home of the Braves. Don't forget Ben Ingram, the voice of the Atlanta Braves, is from right here in Central Mississippi. He used to have a sports talk show. Here's a little useless trivia for you. What's the first talk show that Clay Edwards ever called into? It was the Ben Ingram Show. True story. It was after a terrible Mississippi State loss somewhere during the Sylvester Croom era. And I just needed a vent. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to vent. Anyway, we're streaming in stunning HD on the Save JXN Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. I am efforting getting us up on Instagram. We may save that for the second hour. And we may not. We may get it up now. We are in the next break anyway. I'm not going to bore y'all with the details of it all. But anyway, I really want to have a conversation with black folks today. I truly do. Now, there's some white folks that you need to be a part of this conversation too. And everybody else, you're welcome to listen. But I want to have a true heart-to-heart conversation with black folks today. Because after yesterday here in the city, I'm just convinced. And I don't mean like my normal black folks that listen to this radio station. I mean, you just die in the wool, black for a living, hate the police, think everything's about racism, think everything's race-related. I need to talk to them black folks today. You know which ones I'm talking about. The ones that don't like me. The ones that don't want to do right. Because after yesterday, reading my comments, I feel like the chief of police. I'm just sickened. Trying to understand why so many of y'all hate the police the way you do. And not only do you hate the police, you hate Clay Edwards for supporting the police. I've never seen anything like it. Like the last couple months. Since that little future rocket scientist, engineer, possibly even a NASA astronaut, if he had just not got pulled over that day, he was on his way to space camp, man. Ever since he decided to pull that gun on that Flowood cop in a traffic stop and get himself removed from this here earth, his next location was a T-shirt with some wings on the back of him. Anyway, ever since I celebrated that the cop survived, and I issued a effed around and find out championship to that guy, it has been this absolute war with me and black folks. I don't understand why y'all get all up in arms and feel like that because I'm talking about a crime that somebody black committed, that somehow that's an indictment upon all black folks. It is not. It is about that person committing the crime. Y'all are making it about all black folks with y'all's reactions. You're making it way more than about the story. You're making it about the reaction. And it's very telling who the racists are around here, and it ain't Clay Edwards. Yesterday, I had a JPD officer, and not the normal one that sends me stuff, one I don't actually talk to, send me a couple photos right after this show of one of these future rocket scientists, engineers, and possibly even a SpaceX astronaut. Since NASA went woke and can't seem to get rockets back into space, well, that's probably about the best chance they have of getting a job in NASA or going to space is via NASA. So we don't want to dirty up SpaceX's good name by putting any of these Jacksonians anywhere near it. So the cop sends me a couple photos with screenshots from social media. And one of them is the guy's Instagram profile. His name's Steven something or another. The other is a picture of him holding a gun, pointing it at a JPD cruiser, and it's got a Glock switch on it. Some people are like, that's a toy gun. No, dog. No, dog. It ain't a toy gun. It's a real gun. Sorry, apparently I pulled up my own live stream here. I was going to pull up the guy's name and tell y'all his name real quick because I've got it. Why not share it? And then the woke white people, I'm going to talk to y'all today too. All you virtue signaling woke whites think you're doing all this virtuous good stuff, running in, defending thugs. Because you're racist. Why'd you call him a thug? Because he pointed a gun at a cop. Why don't you post when white people do it? Because I don't have any pictures of white people doing it. But you know who I do have pictures of doing it? The guy that did it. I don't give a damn what color he is. Stephen King? I don't know. Anyway, I got the name somewhere. It's on WLBT. But the attacks that came on me yesterday for posting that. I got one literal threat from the guy's auntie. She said, before I send folks to get you, I'm just trying to understand, is you's just a bitter old man or is you's a racist? It doesn't matter which ones I is. Your nephew, your kinfolk, pointed a gun at a cop. There's no alternate reality where that's ever where you're ever on the right side of history in this conversation. It is absolutely my hill to die on, and I may very well die there if half the threats that I get are true. I mean, I was walking out of a gas station in Brandon the other night. In downtown Brandon. Black dude hollers at me, you gonna be the next F around and found out grand champion? I mean, if you think so. Yeah, you've already wasted time talking about it. I recommend you just doing it. I find it comical that so many of these people that claim they're going to get me don't just do it. I mean, just do it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Master P taught me, and when you about it, you don't talk about it. You be about it. I'm just disgusted at this culture rot where in any rational thinking human being's brain, y'all think it's okay to point a gun at a cop. and there's not going to be consequences and repercussions. We live in I know it is a fine line between order and chaos, but we live in a civilized society for now. And there's a lot of us that are willing to fight to the death to keep it that way. All we want, honest to God, all we want is for y'all to quit robbing, stealing, and killing in public. Do whatever you want to do in your neighborhood, in your house. Why you got to bring it to the gas stations? Why you got to bring it to the red lights? Why you got to bring it to the bars? Why you got to bring it to the parades? We're fed up. I see folks here in the comments. Oh, yeah, the guy's name is Stephen Perry. Some girl's telling me to shut up. Stephen Perry didn't do it. Stephen Perry got arrested for doing it. Stephen Perry, that was the other thing. His family members kept, and his partners kept reaching out to me. Man, take that down. Take that down. He didn't do it. He just shared that picture. Man, we got another picture of him doing it. I got another picture of him doing it previously. So either he's doing it or he's stealing the pictures of the guy that's doing it. And he wants you to think it's him doing it. He wants to play hard. So you telling me he's just a studio gangster? He's just a studio gangster. Internet warrior. Ain't that what y'all call him? Just internet. You just like to, that's what y'all tell me all the time. You just like to talk on the internet. You ain't about it in real life. So what you're telling me is Steven ain't about it in real life. He just likes to post pictures on the internet, play hard, because he's a rapper, of course. Y'all know that, right? He's a rapper. But the police think he did it. We got the video of him getting perp walked last night by JPD. By the way, good job, JPD. And I want to pat myself on the back because I 100% take credit. 100% take credit for that arrest, for getting that post out there, for making it go viral, for forcing WLBT, WJTV, WAPT, and whoever else to have to cover that story. Because it got broke right here in my office at this radio studio. Hours later, the other news outlets decided to jump on board. Again, they don't never give me the credit of as first reported by Clay Edwards. Y'all ask me all the time, Clay, how you gonna save Jackson? What save Jackson mean? Does that mean save it from blacks' people? No, it just means save Jackson from a bunch of damn idiots. Like we did yesterday. Your boy officially saved Jackson from a thug. Got one thug off the streets yesterday that was running around taking pictures of himself pointing guns at cops. JPD, you're welcome to, and I know a lot of y'all don't like me. I've seen some of y'all's comments about me too, but it's okay. I love you. I appreciate what you do. So few other people in your own community won't sit up here and defend y'all and fight for y'all. I will. Clay Edwards will. Even the ones that don't like me. I will stand up here and I will fall on that sword. Coming up in the next segment, I want to have a real conversation with black folks. Why do y'all defend the worst in your group when I talk about them? Why do y'all think me talking about a criminal is somehow an indictment against all black people? It is absolutely not. It is me talking about a criminal. And y'all, for some reason, cannot compartmentalize. When some meth head, trailer trash, white trash, Pookie that looks like me gets in trouble and somebody makes fun of him, but hey, it's usually me first in line to make fun of him when I can finally get some picture and video of one doing something stupid. You know what white folks don't do? We don't get mad and say, man, you don't like white people? You don't like white people? Why are you talking about Pookie? You racist? No, that sounds stupid. I don't think somebody talking about white Pookie is an indictment against all white people. I'm either talking about you or I'm not. Me talking about Pookie ain't me talking about whoever else. Offended person A in the comments that it had nothing to do with it. There's a word I want to use and I can't. We'll just say there's this mind F in the black community that any criticism about anybody black from someone white has to strictly be and could only possibly be because they're black. It can have anything else to do with the fact maybe they're a criminal. It can have anything to do with the fact they're a criminal. Is why I don't like them and why I talk about them. You have a list of 10 things that they could have done to me or valid reasons not to like somebody, but y'all would add an 11th and move it to the top, and it would be because he's black. When that ain't nan reason. But for some reason, y'all just cannot stand somebody white talking about the crimes committed by somebody black. I can't help who commits the crimes around here. I can't help who the overwhelming majority of the population is around here. I've had this conversation a million times. When a city is 90% black, who do you think is going to commit the most crimes? It's also the largest city. So it's where the most crime happens per capita. It's also the deadliest city in America. Let's take a break. I'm going to open up the phone lines when we come back. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. I see one comment I want to reply to here. Brittany says, you never, hold on. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. You never post what white people do and y'all worst. Prove it. Prove it. I do post what white people do. They don't do as much of it around here as y'all do. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. We talk about what the news reports. We talk about what's on the news. White folks ain't turned the city street into a scene from Grand Theft Auto 5 like black folks have in Jackson. I've said it on this radio show before, and I've said it. I wish to God more white people would commit crimes like this so I could talk about it without having this dark cloud of racism over my head for talking about it. Go find the people committing the crimes that are white and send it to me, and I promise we'll talk about it. You have my word. We'll be right back. Let me talk to the men out there listening real quick. Guys, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances? Hey, low libido, ask your girlfriend or wife. She'll let you know if you're suffering from that or not. That's sex drive. If you'll text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550, Men's Health of Mississippi and the Clay Edwards Show are going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. They're located in Madison, Mississippi at 120 Fountains Boulevard. You can check them out online, menshealthms.com. But one more time, text my name, all caps, Clay, to 601-327-8550 and get your free testosterone screening scheduled today. Enjoy the rest of this show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, live here on WYAB. Let me get this done. Boom shakalaka. Welcome back in. 103.9 FM, the Big Stick here in central Mississippi. If you're listening online, you just discovered that, or if you're watching online, you discovered that now we get to play the commercials during the breaks. That dead audio is now solved during the commercial breaks. So y'all get to hear our great partners here at WYAB. I heard El Patrio right there, so I think I'll pick up where it left off. El Patrio, such a fine establishment there with a location in Flowood at Dogwood and a location right there at Cross Gates on Highway 80 in 042 Brandon. Great locally owned, authentic Mexican food, and it is a fabulous cantina. Their frozen margaritas, as they say. Best salsa around, too. I'll put their salsa up against anybody's. Best salsa and service. But look, it's about to be lunchtime here in a couple hours. You got $10 in your pocket? You got enough money to go eat some fajitas at either one of the El Patrios, Flowood or Brandon. That's right, man. They got those lunch specials. A bunch of them under $10. Now, look, don't be cheap. Tip your servers. Don't go over there saying you heard it on the Clay Edwards show and not tip your server. I mean, on a $10 meal, you need to be tipping $5. I mean, the floor needs to be $5. And go up from there. It don't matter how much your ticket was. I mean, on the low end. Always do minimum of 20% as it gets higher. But anyway, man, don't leave nobody near $2 maybe at a sit-down restaurant just because your ticket wasn't but $10. Come on, man. Anyway, get over there, see my folks. Follow them on social media. They got karaoke on the weekends. They both got big old patios. The bar is separate from the restaurants, from the dining area, so you can go unwind with adults, or if you want to have your family, you don't want to hear a bunch of adults like Clay Edwards in there getting loud, like they're serving Dollaritas at happy hour at Applebee's. Sit over there on the family side, because I'm known to get a little loud. We like to have a good time. But look, man, get over there, enjoy great food, great service, great atmosphere. El Patrio Mexican Restaurant and Cantina. Closed on, the one in Brandon is closed on Sundays, unfortunately. But I'm not sure about the one in Flowood. So other than that, they're open 6 days a week. All right. I'm queuing up a video here. We're going to get ready to open up the phone line. I'm hoping to hear from some folks this morning. I'm getting the video ready to play. We're going to play the Perp Walk. You know, there's a hot new song that's supposed to be out by the summer of 2026. And I hear it's got a new dance. And that it's Jody and Chalkways. Jody Owens and Chalkways' favorite. And it's called Doing the Perp Walk. Doing the Perp Walk. Let's get it here. I want everybody online to see young Steven here doing the Perp Walk downtown at JPD headquarters. This is the guy that pointed the gun at JPD and put it on social media trying to be hard.
So the man accused of pointing a gun at a JPD officer, 24-year-old Stephen Perry Jr., booked at JPD after he was arrested earlier this evening. Investigators believe Perry pointed a Glock that had an illegal...
Let's pause it right there. Get a good look at him. And look, man, maybe this kid uses this as an opportunity to change his life. You know, Clay Edwards has been perp walked just like this before. Just like this. No, there weren't no cameras. I didn't have quite the profile that I do now. But I got perp walked just like that. I got took out to Hinds County. Y'all know the story if you listen to the show more than once. I tell it a lot because I want you people to hear it. You know, I was out there fighting, raising hell. Thought I was untouchable. Until I found out I wasn't. You know, got in a fight with about 7 or 8 guys there at the old Voodoo Lounge, or whatever it was called at that time, on State Street. Magoo's, Voodoo, one or the other. You know, got arrested. But we've been doing it every weekend for a while. Anyway, my point being, I got thrown in a holding cell for like 3 days out there in Raymond. Got toted into Judge Skinner's courtroom. I had about 17 different charges on me. Some form, fashion, or another. They were all for fighting in public. Disorderly conduct. Basically just being white trash. I was like a white trash chia pet. Just add alcohol and watch it grow. That was Clay. And I had 3 days sitting out there with real thugs, real criminals, killers. They had me in the felony holding cell, believe it or not. And it made me realize real quick that I wasn't about that life. I didn't want to be about that life anyway. They drove me into Judge Skinner's courtroom. That happened on a Thursday. I didn't get to the courtroom till Monday or Tuesday. So however many days that was that I was in that holding cell, every time that door opened and I realized I wasn't getting out, it was for somebody else. They had not called Edwards for a while. Last time they called Edwards, I think it was to spread my cheeks, make sure I hadn't snuck nothing in. But I got to that courtroom, and I took that whatever deal they offered that didn't involve jail time, your boy took it. It was a year, 3 months on house arrest, a year or two on probation, pretty good bit of money in fines. I took it all, and I ain't looked back. You know where I ain't been since? Jail. I took that opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to do something different with my life. And that's what I did. That's what I did. Maybe Stephen here will do it too. Maybe young Stephen here will do it too. Caller, stay on hold. Keep calling and hanging up. Ain't going to get you nowhere. Let's finish this video real quick.
Switch attached to it. Then
let's run it back just a little bit.
Had an illegal switch attached to it. Then the picture was posted on social media.
So,
yes, senior.
All right, let's stop sharing there. Let's go to this call here on the Mazda Jackson phone line. See how long this lasts. Hey, good morning. You're on there.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Hey.
Man, I just want to, I'm not defending anything, so I just want to give you a different perspective.
Okay.
And I don't know how well it'll be received from, the listeners.
Well, this is why I asked. I mean, just to be clear, this is Ryan. Ryan's a black dude. And I specifically asked on social media, I said, I want my black folks to listen this morning because I want to have a real conversation about this morning. And that don't mean just agree with Clay. So by all means, go ahead. I just wanted to set that up.
Okay, cool. So I just want to say now, again, given some perspective, if there are certain words that are associated with a group of people that may not be fair, I understand that life is full of double standards. I understand, exactly what that is. So everybody has Google. So if you type in the word thug, Thug, and you hit images, the first thing that pops up is a black man. Is that fair? May not be. But there are certain words that are just associated, regardless of how fair that is, or, it has a negative connotation. And what's attached to that is a black person. So when someone uses the word thug, I'm not saying just you, but if someone uses the word thug, the first thing that pops up, or usually that goes in somebody that's associated with a black guy, just like if he says the first word scientist, we understand that it should be associated with anybody, but it's typically some Asian guy with glasses on and lab coat.
Well, that's my first. That's my first. I was sitting here playing along with you here, and I'm thinking scientist, Asian or Indian.
Yeah, one of those.
I'm Googling along with you here, actually. So,
well, good. Yeah, if you Google thug, the first 10 images is going to be a black guy. And that same search, if you clear it out and you Google punk, P-U-N-K, you'll see some white kids with spiky hair, things like that. That's associated with white people. And again, if you Google scientists and things like that, you'll see something else.
And I would say the punk thing, and I'm not defending it being white. I would assume that it has probably more to do with punk rock.
Right, and I get it. Just like Thug maybe have a lot to do with Tupac.
Yeah.
I get that too, but I just want to give a little perspective that if some people may not, be in depth. I'm not saying black people. I'm just saying people that may not be, in depth or even well versed in certain things. So when you use the word thug to describe somebody that committed a crime, most people would associate with it. Okay, he used this word because of. And I get what you're saying when you're saying I use this word because of my definition of what you feel what a thug is. But with, it just has a negative connotation, which it should, because thugs, ain't nothing good about thugs. However, when someone reads that and they read the word thug, they will automatically, okay, this person is talking about black folks because of the word association. And I said I'm not defending anything. But I'm saying that could be one of the reasons why you may get a hard time for some folks thinking that you may be a racist or a bigot because of your word that you use to describe the crime that was committed or the person that committed the crime. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm not defending anything, any actions, just giving a different perspective.
Well, my thing is this. I tell people all the time, I don't make these videos. I don't do this to entertain and engage people who agree with me. I do this to agitate, and not in a bad way. Sometimes you got to agitate people in a bad way to get their attention. I do this to try to talk to people that are the knuckleheads, like the people that need to hear this and need to see this. They're seeing it, but they're not necessarily wrapping their arms around it like I quite hope they would. Say, oh man, you know what? He's making some good points there. Because, like I know, Ryan, being a white guy, there's no way I could have this conversation or I'd have the impact that I have if I started this off with this young man pointed a gun at the police. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to hit it hard. You got to grab people's attention, and you got to talk. You got to talk in knucklehead to get knuckleheads to hear you sometimes. And look, it comes with the good. It comes with the bad. But every now and then, it comes with Clay getting to have a bitch session up here about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. As long as you know that it comes with good and bad, because it just is what it is. And if the way that you present it, and again, I'm not trying to change your business model at all or how you present, your stories. Not at all. But you have to realize that it's going to come with that. Because we know, well, I'm not even going to go there about a clown that did some stupid stuff and, how his life ended up. But anyway, it just comes with that, man. So just be careful. I'm saying be careful as far as, because people are just crazy.
Yeah.
Just be careful. But, I just want to give some different perspective, man, and appreciate you taking my call, man, and I'll listen on the radio.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, man.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back here on WYAB. All right, we're gonna play Ryan's game here on Google. I'm gonna stay online with y'all for a minute. So we got Google pulled up here, and I know the image is kind of small if y'all are watching online. Let me do something. Remove this chat box. All right. So I typed in Thug, and now to be fair, most of it's the rapper Young Thug. And the one that is actually just a generic image is of a white guy, a stock photo here. This one is of a white guy pretending to be a thug. So that does kind of blow that narrative out the water just a little bit, but I know what Ryan's saying. But here's the flip side. When you call yourself thugs and you call yourself the N-words all the time, that is what's going to be associated with it. Now, when I say thug, I don't mean black people. I'm talking about behavior, not people. It's thug behavior. Period. It just is. So that's just my opinion on that. And when you type in, let's see here. Type in mobster. There's going to be an Italian American. Mostly, what we would call white people. So you do gangster, and that's where it gets wonky, because gangster could be a mobster or a black person. Now, Google, we're just looking at the top results here. Gangster, mostly all, what we would call Italian mob. Scroll down a little bit, you'll get the occasional black guy, but they're kind of dressed up like mobsters. But I think the word gangster could go either way. Let's see here. Trashy person. But something white. You see, you type in trashy people, and it's all white folks. But I think absolutely both can be trashy. Just like if you're just staying true to the definition of the word, I think both races, well, any race can be the N-word. I completely understand why it's not, why it only gets, used for one demographic, and the terrible history of that word. It'll forever be a mind F to me how it's become a term of endearment between black people. But if somebody else says that it's life altering and you can't move on and their life is ruined and it's crippling to hear somebody else say it, I mean, I'm fine with that. But how on the flip side, it's a term of endearment if one of your own say it. It's a really weird thing. Like, I don't want anybody white or black calling me white trash. I don't know. But hey, to each their own. To the point, further to the point of all this, if you read the word thug and that offends you, and you automatically think black people, that says more about your thoughts of the word thug than mine. I know I'm not changing any minds here today, but every now and then you got to have a long form version of this conversation that's not an argument in the comments. And that's what I'm trying to do here, because some things you just can't talk out in the comments. Some things you need a long form conversation to have. We're going to have to take another quick break because I ran over big time. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, we're going to take another break here in about 5 minutes. We ran over big time there in a couple segments. You know what I was saying here a minute ago is like, look, man, if you hear the word thug and that immediately offends you and you immediately associate that word with black, man, that's a you thing, not a Clay thing. I use the word to describe thugs. At the end of the day, I use criminal thugs. And around here, based on the demographics and who's committing the most crime, that most of the time is black folks. At least that I see on the news. I can't. Criminals are criminals. Thugs are thugs. They're one and the same to me. We just happen to have way more black criminals around here because of the demographics of the city being 90% black. It's also the largest city. So it just is what it is. I can't help it. I know there's this myth that I don't talk about crimes white people commit, but I got the receipts that say otherwise. I mean, I chomp at the bit to see that somebody white did something, so I can talk about it. So I don't have to hear about it. But you know what? I still hear about it. I can make a video. Something could happen right now. Somebody white could do something stupid enough to justify the FAFO championship video. I could get it posted, and I would still get tagged throughout the day in WLBT's post or whoever. Clay Edwards, why ain't you talked about this? Well, I don't know. Why don't you go look at the page and see that it's already there before tagging me, assuming I hadn't talked about it? Y'all see what you want to see. You've sculpted this narrative that I only talk about black folks, and that damn just ain't true. Hell, I know it ain't true because the other night at the Brandon Parade, some little drunk white girl rolled up on me, cussing me out about something I said about her dead brother, and threw a drink on me. Well, threw a drink at me. I'm like the Matrix over here. I dipped out of the way and it got on somebody else. But, I mean, trust me, I talk about white folks too. I talk about stupid people who do stupid stuff. I'm not biased to any particular race or not. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. Let's see if we got any text. Hit the reload. Takes this app a minute sometimes, guys. I do apologize. I'll close it and start over. Here's another great thing. Here's another thing while I'm loading these texts. Talk about the FAFO championship videos that I do. The effed around and found out videos. That ain't for every crime. It's just not. Like, somebody pickpocketing at the grocery store. That ain't an effed around and found out video. This white woman embezzled some money or something, and Rankin County did an investigation and made a press release about it. That's not an effed around and found out video. Like every time somebody gets arrested, every time it makes the news, it's a slow news day sometimes. And I don't do slow news day FAFO videos. They need to be, for them to keep their credibility and their entertainment value, they need to be crimes that are absolutely ridiculous. Like y'all turning the North Jackson streets into a scene from Grand Theft Auto 5. Or you running from the police. Or yesterday, just so happened to be a black lady, but it was in Rankin County. A lady said she got carjacked, and she lied. The car was in California. She even blamed 2 innocent black men. I mean, they were fictional characters, like Juicy Smollett screaming, "This is MAGA country." You know, like, that was so stupid, it was worthy of an FAFO video. Every crime ain't worthy of me making you famous. Let's take a break real quick. Online, I'm going to stick with y'all. Radio, don't go anywhere. All right, let's get into the comments over here. I just don't know why this is such a hard conversation to have. This is an easy conversation that y'all make extremely difficult because you're just overly emotional. You know, just like, criticism is not racism. It just isn't. Criticism is just criticism. I got into a conversation with a guy last night on Instagram. He's like, "Why ain't you talking about Brian Bailey going to jail?" Well, because I'm running a special right now. By the way, I'm running a special on the website celebrating Chokwe getting his ass whooped and having to go to a runoff where he's going to lose. Every item on my merch shop right now, all the FAFO shirts and hoodies are $10 off each. But you got to use the promo code Free the Land. Use the promo code Free the Land. Let me get it up here on the screen. Here it is. It's on the bottom down there. Use that promo code, and you're getting $10 off. We're sold out of hats now, or caps, whatever you want to call them. I got to get some more. I got to pay for the last batch first. Let's see here. I don't like that blue color. Red looks better. All right. Let's read some comments. I'm sure everybody on here just agrees with me, right? I'm sure this is all kumbaya here, no disagreements. Somebody's calling in, but I can't take calls during the break. Heather, stay on hold. Hold on. Hey, please stay on hold. We'll get back to you when we get back from the break. All right. Bobster70 on YouTube says, "It's a hard conversation because they don't want to hear the truth." Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, real quick, the promo code on the shirt is Free the Land, all one word, all caps, all one word. The website is buyfafo.com, buyfafo.com, and you can get these great shirts. We got a couple of the pink FAFO. We got the blackout tag FAFO. We got some FAFO blackout tag hoodies left. We got the black G.I. Joe style shirt. We got the gray G.I. Joe style shirt. And last but not least, we're out of vote felon. But we got the blackout tag one. Everything $10 off with the promo code Free the Land. Right. Hey man, got to get them plugs in. Got to pay the bills. Now, I keep telling this person to hold on, and they just insist on hanging up. Let's see here. Jimmy Rogers, watching on Facebook, says, "The biggest FAFO champion, in my opinion, was a white guy, Daryl Dedman." Yeah, look, man, we gave all the Goon Squad the FAFO championship. I mean, I got no less than 17 different radio shows. I went back and looked. 17. that we dedicated 2 full hours to talking about the Goon Squad. Y'all hang tight. We're coming back from the break. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Let's go straight to the phone line here. We got somebody that's been sitting on hold. Hey, good morning. You're on there.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I tell you what. I feel like we're going to have a pretty deep conversation here. Can you do me a favor and call back at 8:07? Because I've only got like 30 seconds left before the top of the hour break here.
Okay, you said 8:07.
8:07. Call back at 8:07, and we'll lead the second hour with you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I did want to take that call, but we ain't got but a minute left. So yeah, look, we got a lot of comments and stuff to unpack here because I really want to hear what you all have to say about this. This is not a conversation I can have by myself and go anywhere. So I'm glad that sounded like a black lady there. I want to hear what she has to say without screaming and shouting at each other and without online snippety snip, snip, snip. So let's see here. Jimmy over on Facebook says the biggest FAFO champion, in his opinion, was a white guy, Daryl Dedman. Yeah, look, I know I've said yeah, look a bunch today. I apologize. Apparently it's my cripple word. Like but you know, we've given out plenty. We did 17 shows, y'all. No less than 17 full 2-hour episodes talking about the Goon Squad, going all the way back to when that story broke up until here recently. And we still talk about it anytime anything relevant happens. Sean and I sat here Friday in our last show together and dedicated a whole hour to talking about Brian Bailey and chicken farms. And I was back over here Friday with Kim Wade, talking about Brian Bailey again, talking about the Goon Squad again. People get mad at me. Well, you don't got videos about that on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, some topics are harder to transition into short form content, and that's the one for me. It is what it is. I can't make y'all come to the radio show. I can't make y'all go listen to the podcast. I can't make y'all go to YouTube. But the content's there. If you want to hear me talking about it, it's out there. You just got to do a little work finding it. Internet, don't go nowhere. Radio, we'll see you in 7 minutes. All right. I want to get back into these comments. Let's see here. This is a good one from YouTube. Mobile Pro Exterior Services says, I'm a black man, and I asked a couple young men one day, why can't they be real men instead of being a real N-word? And he got cursed out. He says, I just don't understand my people anymore. Yeah, if you don't, I promise I don't. I promise I don't. I mean, look, man, I had a bunch of white people in my comments yesterday mad at me about posting that guy, calling me a racist, said I'm just being divisive, all this stuff. Man, we potentially saved some police lives yesterday by getting that guy off the streets. Some most likely black policemen lives yesterday. And somehow that's racist? I'm a racist for posting that? I'm a racist for calling that guy a thug? Now, I'm not going to go listen to every one of his rap songs, but something tells me somewhere in those rap songs he calls himself a thug or an N-word at minimum once. I bet he talks about robbing, stealing, killing, drug dealing in some of those lyrics. I'd be willing to bet he does, because that's every rap song. That's every rap song. I don't need y'all to like me. I just think y'all need to hear what you're not hearing in other forms of media. Like, you need to know what people are thinking when this stuff happens. I think that's fair. Megan Smith has a question on Facebook. She goes, do you think there is anything different between white and black people? No. No, I don't. No, I don't. I think there's a difference in people who live in urban environments and people who live in rural environments, white or black. Now, around here, you have more whites that live in rural areas. You got a lot of blacks too. But in the urban areas, there is a urban culture, and it is dominated by black folks. There is a difference in cultures between the two. But that's not a black-white issue. It's an urban versus rural issue. But it's made like it's a black-white issue just because of the demographics of urban and rural. But no, there's no difference between black and white people. But there's a big difference in urban and rural, Democrat and Republican, stuff of that nature. There's a big difference in the mindset. It's the wrong one. Shout out to my buddy Fred. Text in and says, hey, buddy, they don't have to like you. I like you, and you're my friend. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Fred. Yeah, I'm not trying to make y'all like me. This ain't a please like me session today. I'm fine with y'all not liking me. I just want to have a fair conversation about why I do this and the perception of why I do this. That I don't think y'all can get in a 30-second, a minute-long reel on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook. All right, we're getting ready to come back from the break. Y'all hang tight. Phone line. We got Miss Heather on the line. Heather, thank you for calling back and taking the time this morning. I'm not sure what direction the conversation is going, but I hope we can keep it nice and respectful and have a good conversation here. So your turn.
Yes, definitely. Good morning. And yes, we will definitely keep it kind and respectful because these are the type of conversations that need to be had in order to see progress. So I think a lot of times we always talk about the problems and we rarely talk about the solution. So I am a black woman. Let me just start by saying that because I know the callers on the phone are a little interested in that, especially with my name being Heather. So I said all that to say that I just wanted to, number one, thank you for utilizing this platform to have these tough conversations because they're not had enough. But two, I think, and I don't know if you agree with me or anyone agrees with me or not, we focus entirely too much on race and not enough on accountability. And a lot of times, the scapegoat or the easy button is race versus discussing accountability. And when I say accountability, I mean blacks holding blacks accountable, whites holding whites accountable, everyone holding everyone accountable.
Can I say? Can I interject real quick right there? I don't want to forget this. What you just said right there, I think is phenomenal. Holding each other accountable, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. I don't think we should be held back by only holding our own people accountable as far as race. We should all hold each other accountable. Black people hold Clay accountable. White people hold black people accountable. And that's what I try to do. And it gets skewed, and I understand it. Sometimes I know it feels like I'm just begging for people, please like me. Don't be mad at me. That's not what I'm doing. But these are tough conversations, and that's why I'm so glad you called in this morning. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. I just wanted your accountability thing. It struck a chord because that's what I preach it as much as I can. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, and the importance is understanding one another's perspective. So there are things that you have experienced or I have experienced that, that you haven't experienced. And let's go back to an environment. So, yes, I live in Jackson. I reside in Jackson now, but I'm originally from Memphis. So there's some things that, I grew up in Memphis seeing that people in Jackson wouldn't be able to identify with. And that is why these conversations, for lack of better terms, let's say across the aisle, are important. And so I think if we zone in our focus and let it be less about racism or race or demographic or social status, and more so let's just attack what the problem is. The problem is we have gotten to a point where crime is acceptable, and not only is it acceptable, but people make excuses for those committing it. And I'm not just specifically speaking about the incidents that occurred yesterday. I'm just saying in general, It's time after time after time you'll see a crime committed, and I mean the person has done everything but say they're guilty, and you got 16 people under it saying free this person, free this person. Well, why would you free them? And that's that lack of accountability.
Yeah, it's I was talking about this one day on the show. I was going all the way back to the 90s and talking about Master P's song "Ghetto Heroes." It's we glorify this stuff now. And look, I understand the separation of arts and reality, like with the music and all that, and kind of understanding that music is art. But we somehow, especially with hip hop and rap, it crossed the Rubicon where now it's like the people listening to it, they want to be able to fact check the people who are rapping and check the resume and make sure they actually committed the crimes or they're living the life that they're rapping about. And it's created this culture of violence. And again, I'm just talking about hip hop music. I'm not saying it don't go on in other things, but that's relevant to this conversation. And you're right. People are committing crime, we're glorifying crime. And then, like you said, then they're bragging about it, or whether it's in their music. I can't tell you how many people have gotten in trouble here locally, local rappers who have gone and committed a crime, and then they use the song and video they did about it to convict them. And then the community, like I said, they never want to build statues of some of these people. It just blows my mind.
Right. And so I think that now the conversation needs to be, especially in, I know in my community, because I can, again, only speak from my perspective, the conversation needs to be, well, what can we do to prevent the violence? What can we do to stop violence from being so influential and impactful in our communities? And those are the conversations that aren't being had. The conversations that are being had is, oh, they're trying to keep us down. Oh, and I wanted to call in from the perspective of saying that everyone should hold everyone accountable, number one. But number two, the work starts directly in your community. So we're not going to be able to impact or influence the entire Jackson. I could host a Stop the Violence rally tomorrow, and it's not going to change a thing. But as each one of your viewers, your listeners, you and I both, we are responsible for impacting our community within our reach. And it starts with having these tough conversations. So that is why I wanted to call in and let you know that you are heard from this side of the aisle, and that, I mean, maybe it's my personality. I'm a free spirit. I just know we're all out here doing the best we can with what we got, and we're trying to figure this out. But I believe in a strong sense of community. And the only way that we all can exist in harmony is to listen, understand, and learn to agree agree to disagree. And that's one thing that we can't do in this present time. People don't know how to agree to disagree. And so I just wanted to call in and say that, and maybe if one person heard it, that they'll go tell someone else. We can begin to slowly improve just our immediate community.
Now, I want you to stay on the line if you can for a second. Okay, I want to circle back to the agree to disagree. That, I don't know how much you've listened to this show, but I've had a Democrat co-host on a couple of days a week, Sean Yerkeron, on Wednesdays and Fridays. We did our last show together Friday because he got a full-time show here Monday through Friday now of his own from noon to 1, him and his girlfriend, and their whole thing is crossing the aisle. He's a Democrat, she's a Republican. But him and I, that's how we never had any real arguments. We get to a point where it's like, you're not changing my mind. Don't try to change people's minds. Don't go into a conversation thinking you're going to change somebody's mind because you're going to leave disappointed the majority of the time. Go into it and just respectfully try to get your viewpoints across and agree to disagree on some things. There's been things he's changed my mind on, but I have some core principles you're never going to change my mind about. And he's the same way, and most people are the same way. And there's a bunch of these other little variables that float around that I can have my mind changed about. I know people don't want to believe it based on my internet persona, but I'm probably left of center on most social issues. But financial, physical stuff, I'm pretty far right when it comes to small government and staying out of my business and stuff of that nature. And so there's a good conversations to be had because we all got some common ground somewhere. If you just remove politics and religion out of the conversation every now and then, just to at least till you get to know somebody a little bit better, then you can have those tougher conversations that you don't feel attacked because somebody disagrees with you. And that's another problem too. People are so set in their ways now, and you're able to avoid arguments. Even though we can jump on the internet and argue with anybody we want, we can log off and go away. So I can get my 2 cents in, and I have to hear your reply. If I choose not to, I can ignore you, I can block you, whatever. And so much now, people just think that you disagreeing with them is an attack on them. It's like an insult to them. Like, no, I just disagree. But I'm sure there's plenty of things we agree on. And we got to get back to being able to have some real conversation, maybe like an appetizer to the main course. You know, talk about sports, talk about music, talk about something. Get to know people, and then maybe work your way up to these tough conversations like we're having today. Well, that was the platform of the show. That was the intention. But I mean, like in your day-to-day lives with your coworkers, with people that you interact with that you maybe not normally interact with, maybe you're a progressive black female, and maybe the old redneck white dude over there that you work with. Maybe sit down at the lunch table and just talk about work, talk about life, talk about some real stuff, and then it gets a lot easier to understand where somebody's coming from on these other more difficult topics.
Definitely, I agree 100%.
Cool. Heather, thank you so much. Look, I got your number on the caller ID. I'm going to shoot you a text so you have my number, and would love to stay in contact with you. Have you come on the show and discuss some things here and there.
All right, definitely lock me in, and I hope everyone has a great day. Stay safe, and make sure you just are grateful and be positive at least once today. All right, you all have a good one.
Hey, have a blessed day. Thank you, Heather. Call of the day right now. Call of the day. That was great. I was hoping it was going to be good. Her demeanor when we talked a minute ago before that was kind. She put off a good energy. So I'm very, very pleased with that phone call. And she really drove it home. And look, I know that I sound like a hypocrite at times because I'm the first guy to sit here and talk. That's the problem. That's the problem of having this long form platform where I actually get to come on here and I get to vet out how I feel about stuff and have real conversations with people versus the clickbait social media short form video stuff. People don't engage in that, and they've monetized it now. So you're trying to be short and blunt and to the point as you can. You don't have time to round the edges off. You got to be a blunt force object for those videos to push through the noise, if that makes sense. And with that comes the negative side effect of not being able to talk about the next level and the fallout and the ramifications of certain topics. Anyway, hope I didn't get too deep there. We got to take a break. Stay on schedule this hour. This is the Clay Edwards Show. That call was brought to you by Mazda of Jackson. Check them out online at MazdaofJackson.com, or even better, swing by and see them in person right there on Interstate 55 at Briarwood Drive. You know where Mazda of Jackson is. Swing by, check out the all-new CX-90. Tell my buddy Grady I said hello when you get there. Tell the Carr family I said hello. Great folks. Did you know they're locally owned? Did you also know that the Carr family sits at that sales desk? They don't hide in an office. They're not in some ivory tower like a lot of these other new car dealerships owners are. They're local for one thing. They're not a national conglomerate. They pencil and approve every deal that goes out. And then when you buy a car from them, you get the owner's cell phone number. It's the same number I got. Unless he's got a secret bat phone, you get the same cell phone number I got. If you have a problem, you call Chris. Or you call his wife. And you tell them the problem. You don't have to go through the middleman and the salesman having to get stuff approved, having to talk about it. Your vehicle also comes with a limited lifetime powertrain warranty. Just get the oil change there on time. A few other little things you got to abide by. That car have 20 years old, 300,000 miles. Motor goes out, you're going to get a new motor as long as you checked out the few little boxes. That's Mazda of Jackson. Shop them online, MazdaofJackson.com. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on the WYANB 103.9 FM, streaming worldwide in stunning HD, at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. Be sure to follow me on those platforms. We do way more than just stream this show there. I post lots of great incendiary content to keep folks fired up, riled up, having engaging, polarizing conversations. I gave a master class yesterday for wannabe content creators, for wannabe influencers. I gave a master class on how to get engagement, and it worked. The haters went straight to there. Ree! You ain't nobody. You ain't nobody. You know who I am. Your mama knows me. Your mama knows who I am. Your daddy knows who I am. And now you do. I love it, man. I love it. I love these little young virtue signaling white kids that want to get up in my comments and try to be the defenders of criminals. It's a phenomenal thing to see. I posted the screenshots yesterday of that. I'm gonna ride it out. That thug that pointed a gun at the police. That thug. This girl. Something else I've noticed about these thugs. And I've done a lot of research, man. I've gotten a lot of threatening messages over the years. I've been doing this for 7 years now. Got a lot of threats. And something I've noticed is that if you go, because, if somebody sends you a death threat or talks about your family or something like that, I'm going to click on that profile. I got a whole folder in my phone. Of screenshots of profiles that have sent me death threats or threatened me or threatened my family or anything. And a lot of people use, fake names and this, that, and the other. But, like I said, I just keep it in case, I have to defend myself one day and I have to test the limits of the castle doctrine. And I need to be able to go back and say, well, is this one of the thugs that sent me a threat? Let's go look at, let's go face match with their cadaver here and see if the same Pookie 601 over here matches up. And something I've noticed in the overwhelming majority of these people's social media profiles is they like to do photo shoots in gas stations, in particular in front of the coolers in the back. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the connection is with young thugs. Well, they're not all young, just thugs in general, and ghetto gas station photo shoots. Is it because maybe their homie got killed at one of them or something? Or they know they're eventually going to probably get killed at one? I would love to go back and, like, if I actually had access to the data, love to go back and look at all these people who have sent me these threats, because they clearly live in that life. So this ain't a stretch to imagine they probably got killed at a gas station at some point, or at minimum shot at one or shot somebody at one. Not the intended target, of course. The intended target never gets shot. It's always, somebody innocent, or at least innocent to that crime. But I just wonder, like, how many of them did that gas station end up being their final resting place? Like, the place they did their photo shoot also ended up being the place that they died at or went to prison because they killed somebody at. It's a weird thing in these urban communities with gas stations. You couldn't give me a gas station to run in Jackson. You just couldn't. I mean, I think that's why you see so many foreigners do it, because I don't think black or white Americans want to do it. I just don't think they do. But so I posted that. I posted that guy's screenshot of his profile that pointed the gun at the cops. And one of his pictures on his Instagram profile was him doing a gas station cooler photo shoot. So I shared these two images in one post, but then I went back and I shared just I just hit share on that photo of his profile screenshot. If y'all tuned in for politics this morning, I'm detoxing from politics this morning. We've talked about politics for the last 3 or 4 days straight. We'll get back to it, I promise. So I shared. So I'm pulling it up here because I want to read it and tell y'all exactly what I said, which is pretty much verbatim what I just said to y'all. I hate when I say a bunch. I apologize. Those little filler words. But here's what I said. I shared, because I want to read a reply. There's a point in me telling y'all this. I want to read a virtue signaler's response. And this is one of the problems I have with y'all. So I shared this guy's screenshot, and of course he's got the proverbial, and y'all go see it on my Facebook page at SaveJXN. My name's Clay Edwards, but the page is facebook.com/SaveJXN if you want to find it and play along here. I said the biggest pieces of thug trash all have a photo shoot in front of the beer coolers inside the ghetto gas stations. I guess they know they're eventually going to get shot at one, so maybe it's a spiritual thing. You know, because I believe you're allowed to say whatever you want about somebody once they've pointed a gun at a cop, once they've shot a cop. I believe I don't have to have any sympathy or empathy or be kind to that person anymore. Like the training wheels are off. You're allowed to speak whatever you want to about somebody once they've crossed that line. Like a pedo. Like you're allowed to say whatever you want. Like to me, pointing a gun at a cop and posting a picture of it online, that is no different than somebody having child pornography on their computer, but they've never touched a child. And I will argue you into the ground that there's no difference. I could possibly even make the argument that pointing a gun at a cop is even worse than having CP on the computer, because you want to kill a cop. You want to end a cop's life versus just pleasure yourself to some photos, which is nasty. You're nasty. You deserve to be not circumcised. What's it called? Fred Shank's got a bill for it where you eliminate the testosterone. Somebody in the comments help me. What's it called? I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, so I'll get back. Anyway, you deserve to have your stuff clipped off, but there's a medical version of it too, where they just give you a shot and you can never get erect again. So I posted that and highlighted the fact that the guy had a gas station photo shoot, and this white girl, Becky to the rescue. Becky to the rescue. Chemical castration. Thank you, Lane. Chemical castration. It's early, guys. It's early. Chemical castration. You should be chemically castrated for having child porn on your computer. And you should be chemically castrated for pointing a gun at a cop. You should lose that. That should be a felony. You should lose your rights to own a gun. That's a terroristic threat. But anyway, Becky to the rescue over here. She slides in my comments. We're gonna give her all the credit. We're gonna give her 15 minutes. She wants it. Angela Marshall, you got it. She says, Clay, who hurt you? And why do you spew so much hate? They're actually not even in front of alcohol. Yeah. So just to be clear, the guy was in front of the energy drink section of the cooler, but they're the beer coolers. You ever worked in a convenience store? They're just called the beer coolers. My dad owned a convenience store in Jackson for 40 years. We called it the beer cooler. It's even lamer that you're taking pictures. You're doing a photo shoot in front of the energy drink section. Get over there in front of the beer. Eazy-E would be so disappointed. Tupac would be so disappointed if he was alive to see this today. Doing a photo shoot in front of the energy drinks. Get your butt over there in front of the dang beer. Anyway, so she says they're not even in front of the alcohol. So big wow at this narrative you continue to wear out and being for your own personal gain. We are aware, doesn't really excuse it. It's been said before, but using your platform for crap like this ain't it, broski. Do better. Maybe it's a spiritual thing. So she's defending a guy that took a picture of himself pointing a gun at a cop multiple times. And she's worried about who hurt me. She says, I'm spewing hate. I'm casting a narrative. Man, look, they cast that own narrative. You know, they talk about stereotyping, talk about profiling. When you go out of your way to look like, to dress like, to act like what is commonly portrayed as a criminal thug, which most rappers, that's all they rap about, is drug dealing, killing, robbing, stealing, and sexually assaulting women. And at minimum, having a lot of sex. And you want to come to me about casting a narrative? And they cast their own narrative. They've done their own profiling, their own stereotyping. I mean, they're playing right into it. We all do it with certain things. I see somebody wearing something I like. I'm like, hey, you know what? I like that. I'm going to get that. I see somebody with a haircut I like. Hey, I like that. You know, I understand that I'm going to be stereotyped a certain way. Apparently, me having a fade and a bunch of tattoos, people think I was in the military. That really wasn't how this played out or thought it would look when I started it all. But I get it. I get how I could be, and I never pretend to be. I would never do stolen valor. I've always said absolutely not. I've never been in the military. I did try to join. I can't hear. They would let me in. I didn't decide at that point to go pretend to be in the military for the rest of my life. I, again, would never do that. My friend Corey is the most staunch defender of slapping people in the face. That he's the most staunch defender of valor. If he ever sees anybody out with stolen valor, they better be ready to fight. I mean, I've been around it. I've seen it. I would never partake in that. It's just to clear the air there. But I understand how people look at me and they see how I look like somebody who may have been in the military, because so many retired military or even active military or retired for the most part have the gray beard, have a bunch of tattoos, and have the faded haircut. You know, I just think it's 40-plus-year-old white guys. We just all look the same now. See, I admit it. I can say that, right? All us 40-year-old white guys look the same. I was walking through a bar one night, Cameron's Garage out there, Cypress Point. Had on a hat with not a flat bill, but quasi-flat bill. It's my profile picture on Facebook now. I had on, I think, a black T-shirt. That's kind of my calling card at this point. I like black T-shirts. Got my gray beard. Got tattoos. And I saw somebody else that looked very similar. But the owner there, Mo, and him and I, and the other fellow, the security up there, former cop, had drawn a blank. Gosh, I'm terrible with names of people that I know and should know their names. Anyway, there's about 3 or 4 of us up there that all look the same. Same height, gray beards. Then about every other customer there looks just like us too. Jonathan. That's what I was trying to think of. Jonathan. And I just made a Facebook, because I was going through, I was looking at somebody, and so I think somebody thought I was staring at them. Like, I'm not staring at you. You look just like me. I'm trying to decide if you're my long-lost twin brother. I'm not trying to fight you. But I made a Facebook post about that. I was like, dang, we all look the same. Complete rabbit hole there. Was not what I was trying to talk about. We got to take a break real quick. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. And we're going to pick up on our virtue signaler, Miss Angela, and my response to her. And to some other people. Because, I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse. The people who think it's racist to call out bad behavior, or the people who defend the bad behavior and think the guy talking about it is the problem. And then I also want to ask, who of that bunch do you think would survive the purge? Us, who try to live right and do the right thing, or them? Because you got to have some dog in you. You got to have a little criminal in you to survive the purge. Do the good guys have what it takes to survive the purge, to dominate the purge? I guess that's my question of the day. When we come back, phone line wide open. Mazda Jackson, 601-879-0002. 601-879-0002. Call now. Get in the queue, and you can be first up when we return on the Clay Edwards Show. Negan vibes. I'll take Negan. All right. I got to put y'all in break for just a second. Y'all don't go nowhere. Good show today, man. I hope that with a show like today that we're able to have a conversation here. You know, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but I hope that y'all are at least hearing my thoughts in full. Maybe you hate me more. Maybe I'm not doing myself any favors by doing this. I don't know. Maybe I am. Only time will tell. I think that's one of the big problems. I think like a lot of the people on my Instagram, they don't get up at 7 a.m. and listen to this radio show. I wish they would. Like I truly have multiple audiences that consume my content, like completely different demographics and audiences that consume all this stuff. Like the short form content on TikTok and Instagram is a much younger audience. And then the radio show and the podcast and the live streams is an older audience. And just by default older. I say older, I mean, 30 up for the most part. I mean, when I was running around being a hellraiser, I wasn't listening to talk radio. You know, maybe like Howard Stern or something before he turned into a woke cuck. So, anyhow, take a quick break real quick. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Enjoy these nice commercials that I'm able to get pumped into here now. Breaking rules when necessary, man. Love it. Love it. Guys, get out to Martin's downtown this Saturday. Big crawfish bowl out there, outdoors, crawfish bowl. If it rains, don't worry. They got a big patio. They'll just move it up under there and inside. Got 3 great bands outside, and then inside you got the one, the only, Kill Devil Hill. It's a heavy metal supergroup with Clinton, Mississippi's very own Dewey Bragg leading the vocals. Just a comparison, Pantera. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Dewey always reminded me a lot of Phil. Really, really good band. Got members from Danzig, Typo Negative, and Five Finger Death Punch, former members in the band. Get out there, enjoy Kill Devil Hill, and don't forget, next Saturday, Martin's at Livingston. They are having their big outdoor crawfish bowl. And real quick, before we go to the Mazda of Jackson phone line, we got somebody on hold there. Just let me tell you what the Blue Plate lunch special at Martin's is today at both great locations. Looks like it's Thursday. The special is pot roast. Man, go get some of that great pot roast at Martin's. All right, let's go to the Mazda of Jackson phone line here. Hey, good morning. You're on there.
Hello.
Hey, you're on there. Cut your radio down if you don't mind.
Hey, man, yeah, this is Richard Bradley, first time listening to your show. Just wanted to say, man, I know it's a lot of stuff that's going on in the city, man, but I just want to make sure, and I sent you a message on Save Jackson.
Oh, did you? Okay. I know you, Richard. I've known you for a long time, so glad to hear you call.
Yeah, man. Listen, like, I it's a lot of stuff going on, man, but I just want people to know that there's opportunity for these young kids in our communities.
when it comes to education and vocational trade. I've got a big workforce component that's going on for free training. I think we've got to do something in the community to just give these people a way out. And, you know, people are going to make their own decisions, and you can't do anything about that. But I just want to make sure that I let people know that we're down here and we're ready to serve the people of Jackson. So, hey, that's my first time listening this morning, Clay. So I've been tuned in, man.
Hey, Richard, I want to get you on the show, and I want to talk about what you're doing. I'm going to rip your number off the caller ID, or
okay,
shoot me your number. Is this I saw it was like the MBAR number that popped up. Is that a cell phone, or is that you calling from a landline?
Yeah. That's my cell phone, man. That's what everybody knows me by, MBAR, man.
yeah. I got that. I'm gonna shoot you a text or a call when I get off here, and let's get you lined up to come on here and talk about what you're doing. I want to start shining light on folks that are doing some of this stuff. I saw what you did during the Jackson trash crisis and all that stuff, running around picking up garbage. Right. I've been watching you. I'd like to talk to you. You know, I mean, old bar owner to bar owner. You know.
Yeah. And look, I'm sure we got some good conversations we can talk about, man.
We could, man. But I want to talk about what you're doing to help the kids in these programs, because clearly that's the kind of grassroots type stuff we're going to need. I mean, other than just whooping folks upside the dang head. But you go to jail for that now. Kept us out of jail, but you'll go to jail for doing it now. Richard Bradley, man, great hearing from you. Thanks for calling in this morning, and we'll try to get you on next week if you're open.
Okay, Clay. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, brother. Be good. All right, man. Those are the kind of calls I like to get. Richard's a good dude. Does a lot of stuff. You know, bad stuff's happened at his bar, like it happens everywhere, unfortunately, because you can't legislate morality. You know, I saw where the city is now forcing nightclub security to have police training. I don't have a problem with that, but at the end of the day, you can't control what people do in your parking lot. That's the biggest problem, is you can't control what people do in your parking lot. To an extent. They get down the road, so like somebody will leave his bar, go to a gas station, get in a fight with somebody, get shot, and they'll be like, M-bar patrons shot over here, and it leaves a poop stain on the M-bar. When it didn't even happen there. I've had it happen on my watch. I get it, man. We had guys leave and get in fights at gas stations. I got sued because I'm like, it was at a gas station. What am I supposed to do? Get these people home? Anyway, we got to take one last break on the radio, internet. I'm sticking with y'all through the break. Radio, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, that's what happens when you run over a couple segments. You gotta have a couple short ones at the end. But man, these conversations get to flowing. This is a good show today. Not because of me, but because of y'all, the engagement. Some rational, cool-headed phone calls. This is how we have conversations. Tough conversations. Let me hit send on this text here. All right, let's read some of your comments here. I may be able to stay in here a little while longer. I don't think we got anybody coming up. I got to get a haircut at 11, but we may be able to stay on a little longer with you guys today, online anyway. Robert says, talk dirty to us while we're on the break. Man, I said I was going to quit cussing. Even my effed around and found out videos yesterday, I said effed around and found out. I didn't say the F word. And what happened with that was, you know, my girlfriend's got an 11-year-old son, about to be 12, and he's been in the truck with me a lot lately, running into ball practice and this, that, and the other, and, you know, really trying to help out with him some, because I got some free time during the day. And every podcast I listen to, even the ones about business and personal growth and all that, every other word is the F word. But don't bother me. I never paid attention to it till I got a 12-year-old sitting next to me. I'm like, damn. Is that what it sounds like when people are listening to my content and they got their kids in the car? Anyway, he said talk dirty to you. I just completely off. I know that's not the kind of talk dirty you meant, but made me think about that. Megan says, yep, I enjoyed this conversation. Me too. We need to do it every now and then. Let's see here. Truth Seeker over on YouTube says, I've known doctors come out the wood, worst hoods in Jackson. They wanted to get out bad. Oh, I know what you're saying. You've known people who have that are now doctors who came out some of the worst hoods in Jackson if they really wanted to get out. Absolutely. I know way too many people from Jackson that I personally know who have come up out the mud, as they like to say, who made a decision they were going to change their lives and come up out the mud. To allow that to constantly be an excuse for everybody. You just got to want it. You got to want it. And you got to have some luck on your side too. I mean, you do. Life is a lot about who you know, not what you know. But who you know will only get you so far. You got to be able, you got to want it once you get there. You can get handed, a lot of people in the Lumumba administration went and got their degrees and got handed jobs they ain't no good at. They put in the work to get there. Now they don't know what to do that they're there. And you're seeing that unfold in Jackson. Truth Seeker says, I don't have kids, love the cussing. I get it, man. I mean, I do too. I love the occasional F word dropped here and there. Maybe we'll do an uncensored after dark show. Truth Seeker on YouTube also says, there's always been resources, but most of the kids don't want, and their families don't stop them from it. I know what you're saying there. I know what you're saying. All right, we're getting ready to come back from the break. Hang tight. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. I want to thank our sponsors today. I did today with minimal ad reads because when we have tough conversations like this, we just don't do a whole lot. I don't want to do a whole lot of ad reads. We need to get these as much of these conversations as we can, and I will make it up to our sponsors. But Martin's got a big event this weekend. We want to make sure we push it. Stonington Farm's going to be up here tomorrow. We've got to make sure they're going to be here tomorrow. You got to get your order in today. So thank you to the sponsors. We hadn't looked at the Guns and Gear text line. Why don't we take the last minute and a half or so of the show and see what we got over there? Unknown texter says, I wholeheartedly agree with the caller, Miss Heather, and says, I appreciate your perspective, Clay. Great show. Unknown texter, talking about they completely agree with my chemical castration line. Also, unknown, looks like Thomas says, the culture will change. It was displayed at the Super Bowl on a national stage. Serena Williams did the crip walk on TV after her sister was killed and she was caught in gang crossfire. Instead of using their platform for change, they decided to crip walk. Yeah. And it was such a huge deal that social media loved it and couldn't stop talking about how great she looked doing it. Yeah, that's a culture issue. I mean, and that's what people look at and scratch our heads. Like, why aren't we glorifying this type stuff and then get mad when people call you out on it? That's the part I don't understand. It's like, you glorify this stuff. So many do. Not everybody. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So many glorify this violence and this lifestyle. Even people who have been negatively impacted by it. But then they get mad when Clay Edwards, who lived in Jackson for 43 years, till I just couldn't take it no more, when I call it out. Tomorrow we're going to talk about some of this other stuff too. Great show today. Thank you. Online, I'm going to go a little extra for y'all. All right, guys. Let's do a little extended session here for a minute. I want to go through some of your comments. Let's pick back up. Mobile Pro Exterior Services on YouTube had a great text earlier. Let's see what he has to say here. Says it's sad to say that's the only type of rap music that sells today. The music executives help to push that narrative, and young listeners try to live their lives that way. And that's a proven fact. You've had so many of these OG rappers come out now that were at the beginning, your Dr. Dre's and all those guys, that were at these meetings early on, who were coming out and saying that this is exactly what they did. It's the same. The CIA had a big role in this. None of this is an accident. The CIA had a huge role in the content that's in this rap music, and it coincided with them introducing crack cocaine to the black communities. I mean, this ain't no accident. I mean, I will agree with folks on that. Now, my argument with that is you didn't have to do it. But I've been weak mentally at times and done things I didn't need to do, so I understand that side of it too. Hey, this is a great post here. I said I was going to get back to our post about Angela, the white girl. Because Angela was having a hero complex. Yeah, Angela was the white girl who wanted to get up in my business and virtue signal while defending a guy that pointed a gun at a cop. That's foolishness. Foolishness. Now her excuse was, you just posted a picture with no context. No. It had a caption. It had all the context it needed. You could have clicked and realized that it was a shared photo. I ain't going to make excuses for you. Now, you all up on my page, you should have looked at a couple posts down and realized what I was talking about. I don't just randomly pluck photos of young black kids doing photo shoots off the internet and talk bad about them. If I've got a post up like that, there's a reason I'm talking about it. And it's because they've done something. I'm not just bullying some random little young black kids or a black guy or men or whatever just because. There's a reason I'm doing it. It's because they've done something stupid. If you follow my content long enough, you may not like me. You may hate that I expose this stuff, and that's fine. I can live with that. But one thing you're not going to do is question my character and question and just assume that I'm just randomly doing something for the sake of being mean. I don't do that. Now, I did post a picture of those fat Hooter girls the other day, but that was funny. They had nothing to do with Jackson. They had nothing to do with race.